What's up, horror fan? Welcome back to the channel. So for today's daily episode, I have a couple topics. Nothing new, nothing earth-shattering, but we do have a couple new looks at two core characters for the upcoming Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare. Now, as you know, we've been reporting on this film for quite some time, whether it's the clips, the trailers, some of the behind the scenes images as far as what the characters look like. So we do have a first look at what two of the core characters, at least core characters in the original story, are, and that is Tinkerbell and Hook. So whether or not they're going to be core characters in this horror take film of Peter Pan is yet to be seen. And don't forget, there is a limited theatrical run release coming for this film. It's only going to be 3 days. I don't think it's going to be a widespread release. It might just be limited to certain areas. So if you are interested in this film, make sure you go check out your local theaters, see if it's playing. Because I've also heard a rumor that after it's in theaters, it may hit VOD and streaming, it may not, or it might be a while before it does hit either one of those. I can't imagine, though, that they would just make this film being part of the Monsters verse, being part of the Poonaverse, and then just not release it after this 3-day theatrical run. That wouldn't make sense to me. So we're going to look at those first look images, and then we are also going to cover off on some updates from the director and creator of The Substance. So as you all know, Demi Moore won a Golden Globe for The Substance. I thought that was just an absolute great thing. I'm so happy for her. Congrats to her and all those that were involved in The Substance that got her to that point to where she could win that award. But also, I mean, she's a phenomenal actress. She's been in the business for many years. I think this was well deserving, not just for her, not just for the creators of the film, but for horror itself. We don't see horror films getting nominated hardly at all, let alone winning. So I think there were 4 or 5 nominations at the Golden Globes, and we at least walked away with one of them. So I'm hoping once Oscar time comes around, there's a little bit more buzz for this film, maybe for some other horror films that might get considered for an award. So let's jump into the details of these two topics here. So as I mentioned, Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare images introduced a twisted Tinkerbell and Hook. So we're going to just go through the details of this article a little bit, and then we'll look at the images itself. So as I mentioned, Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare gives a dark new spin on a classic fairy tale. Ahead of the film's theatrical release next week, Jagged Edge Productions and ITN Studios have unveiled new images of Poonaverse version of Tinkerbell and Hook. Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare gets a limited theatrical release for 3 days only from January 13th, 2025 until January 15th, 2025 from Iconic Events Releasing. The horror film follows Wendy Darling as she strikes out in an attempt to rescue her brother Michael from the clutches of the evil Peter Pan, who intends to send him to Neverland. Along the way, she meets a twisted Tinkerbell who is hooked on what she thinks is fairy dust. So I'm not going to read much more of this. I'll put the link of this article in the description of the video below, because a lot of this we've covered on. We start just to get in a little bit more about the film itself, the casting, and we've covered off on this extensively. So let's scroll back up here a little bit. This here is my understanding. I mean, we know this is Peter Pan here on the left, but this is supposed to be Tinkerbell for the horror film, and Let's look at the rest of the images. So I think we have another one down here. Again, this is Peter Pan now on the right. We have Tinkerbell here on the left. And I'm not sure. And yeah, there's one more right here. Again, not what I was expecting to see for Tinkerbell for a horror film. I mean, they're obviously taking a drastic turn for this character. So I think those are the only 3 images we have of Tinkerbell with Peter Pan. We have none that are just solo Tinkerbell. And then we have Hook. Now, I think this look for Hook is right up there with horror. It definitely looks like it's something come out of a horror film. It looks like, though, something that's coming almost out of a 90s horror film, if you know what I mean. Like, if you remember, like 13 Ghosts and some of those films, it feels like that's where it's coming from. I mean, we obviously see he has the classic Hook here on his right hand. It has this little ship here. I'm not sure if that's just to mimic the fact that he believes he's a captain of a ship. We have this image here, which I think is a much more appealing image as far as showing how dark and scary the character is. Now, got this big leather glove, we'll call it, so to speak, with this hook still coming out. And I think, yeah, we have one more image, more close up with him showing his teeth, which it looks like he's in some sort of straitjacket, but where his arms are not confined. And I think, yeah, that is it. So those are the new images we have of these two iconic characters from the original story. Now, again, we don't know what level that involvement that they're going to play in this film. I'd imagine they would have some level of involvement as far as like Tinkerbell with Peter Pan, with Peter kidnapping these kids. Now, whether or not Tinkerbell is the one trying to help the kids escape from Peter, we don't know yet. And again, we don't know what Hook's role is going to be in this. It could just be a very minor thing. So those are the first look images we have of these two iconic characters from the original story. We'll find out what role they play in this version of Peter Pan. All right, so moving to our last topic for around the substance. So I don't think anyone should be surprised by this, and I'm actually happy and glad to see this information. So no sequel for the substance. Coralie Fargeat will keep making bold, surprising original films. So she had mentioned this, I believe it was soon after the Golden Globes, after Demi Moore had won the award. She had come out and said, she's not much for sequels, prequels, anything like that. That this is a standalone film, and we're not going to see any of that. So Coralie will not be making a sequel to The Substance, as she's dedicated to making bold, surprising original films. 7 years went by between the time when director Coralie Fargeat made her feature directorial debut with a very cool revenge movie that was appropriately titled Revenge. You can read our 8 out of 10 review on the film. There's a link there for Joe Blow's review. And when she came back with an explosive feminist take on body horror called The Substance, which stars Demi Moore, who won a Golden Globe for her performance, and Margaret Qualley. You can read, and then they gave their review there. They gave a 9 out of 10 for The Substance. I would agree. I'd give it 9 out of 10. We gave our review here at Reign of Horror. You all know my one issue with the film was the very end of the film, which I just felt took away from all the work that was put into it. So I would agree, maybe even an 8.5 out of 10. Now, we're left hoping that Fargeat won't take another 7 years to make her third film, but whatever that ends up being, she has assured us that it will not be a sequel to The Substance. And as I already mentioned, I'm glad for that. I'm glad we're not going to get a sequel. When Variety asked her if The Substance will be getting a sequel, Fargeat answered, oh no. The point of this movie is to present fresh things to the world. No sequels, no prequels, no number 2, no number 3. I'm going to be happy to bring something else fresh to the world in a bit. And then here's a clip. Again, we'll put the link for this article in the description of the video below. So if you want to check out the interview itself, here's the post on X that was made for that interview. In another interview, Variety asked her if she's having any discussions about her next project. She said, for now, I'm not discussing anything. I'm just enjoying the moment and taking some time, as I really want to write my next project. It's slowly starting to put in motion in the back of my brain. When things calm down, I'll take it from there. Going to be totally different. My next project is going to be totally different, but with a lot of similarities to The Substance. I love to make bold and surprising films with things that you don't expect. So definitely, that's what I want to do. And I love the freedom that I gave myself for this film, and that's something I want to keep doing. That was the greatest thing for me on The Substance. And I agree, that's where the article pretty much ends. I agree with that. I'm glad that she has this perception or this thought process of wanting to do fresh new things, not wanting to repeat or pull from, things from the past. We see that a lot of times in horror films where a lot of influence is taken from 80s, 90s, the 70s slasher horror films, and films are done today, and you can definitely feel those influences in those films. They don't feel as fresh of ideas for something that's coming out in 2025 or last year 2024. So the fact that she is hell-bent on keeping things fresh and wanting to keep the ball moving forward, I like that. We need more of that in the horror genre. So as I mentioned, I'm also glad we're not getting a sequel or a prequel to this, and nor does it really deserve either one of those. I could see where they could try to do a prequel, where they have Demi Moore's character, earlier on in her career. But what would be the point? We're just going to follow her as she becomes successful, and then it leads us into the substance. The whole point of the substance was she had lost all that fame and she wanted it back, and then she took drastic measures to go about doing it. That was the whole point of the film, not for us just to follow her rise to stardom and then that's it. So I agree, a prequel wouldn't make sense, nor would a sequel. I think the way it ended was the way it ended, and it tried to force a sequel on this one. I don't think it would be as successful. So all right, everyone, that is going to do it for today's episode. I just want to say a quick thank you to all the new subscribers to the channel. Thank you very much. And to all the existing subscribers, thank you for your continued support. It is also appreciated. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let us know what you think about The Substance, the film in general, if you've seen it, or whether or not you feel it's a right decision not to do a prequel or a sequel. And what did you think about the first look images of Tinkerbell and Hook for the upcoming Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare? Again, I'm a little in the middle here. I'm not fully blown away by them. I'm a little disappointed, but not fully disappointed. I think it might be a different opinion once I actually see the film and actually see their involvement, how the acting is. But just based on the looks, again, I'm a little bit in the middle on their appearances. So more to come on that one. We'll see. Anyways, everyone, that's going to do it for today, and we will see you at the next one. Peace.